This is my petty revenge story from my time as a military driver on Curaçao. Before I start, everything I write actually happened. Last post was bombed by people saying, "This is not real, it didn't happen," etc. Don't believe it? I don't care. Read stories you do believe. I used to be in the Dutch Navy as a military driver. When I joined the Army, I used to be a Marine, but because of a chronic injury in my shins, I was transferred to the Navy, keeping my then current rank and function. If I didn't do this, I could not stay in the Army for extended time, and after my term, I would be discarded. On to the story. One perk of being in the Dutch Navy is a possible placing on two of the Dutch Caribbean islands, Aruba or Curaçao, in Dutch, de West. I managed to secure a placement on the base at Curaçao, Marine Bases Parera, for the term of a year. My function was to be a driver among fellow coworkers. Some of them were Marines, some of them were Navy like me, and about half of them were local personnel. I really got along with most of them, but of course you cannot be friends with everybody. It was a fact that the local drivers were cut some slack when they would mess up or generally behave less desirable. The why and how this was established was very unclear. To be very clear, most of them were excellent co-workers and really nice people, the same as my Navy and Marine co-workers. However, one of my local colleagues in particular was really cocky and considered him above the law concerning the general rules of behavior. He would drive away in his vehicle with spinning tires, tune up the volume of the music really loud, and would drive very irresponsibly. There are other examples about his general behavior, but these are not relevant to the story. When he would transport people, it would be a little better, but with cargo, he didn't care much. Result were minor damages on the vehicle and cargo, from time to time complaints from other people on site, but never enough to get him reprimanded properly. My fellow co-workers and I got really annoyed with his untouchable attitude. We expressed our concern to our immediate supervisors, but nothing really was done. Now on to the revenge. Said coworker used to be the first one to grab a vehicle in the morning to use for a shuttle service for base personnel. This vehicle would always be parallel parked along the logistics office, where we would be during the day when we weren't driving. The last driver of the watch would park the vehicle there. When he would drive away, he would reverse away at full speed, turn the vehicle, and speed away to his first pickup point. At one point, I happened to be the last driver of the watch, and when I concluded my shift, which would be waiting for on-call pickups of personnel after regular working hours, I parked the vehicle. This time, I steered the wheels of the vehicle away from the building before shutting down the vehicle. If he would drive forward, he would steer away, and backwards the front would steer toward the wall. The following morning, apparently my co-worker ran the vehicle sideward into the wall with the side just before the front wheel of the vehicle because he thought it would back away in a straight line. He obviously didn't notice his front wheels being steered in. When my coworkers and I arrived the next morning, we saw him standing there at the damaged vehicle with minor damage to the wall, talking to the Marechaussee, Dutch military police. I was never suspected to sabotage the vehicle to turn immediately when driving away, but my coworker finally got reprimanded because a little investigation showed that if he would have been driving away slowly like he was supposed to do, nothing would have happened. To be clear, he could never make enough speed to get injured, just enough to dent the front of the car and scratch the paint off the walls of the building. Distance was about 50 to 60 cm from vehicle to wall. He couldn't continue his ride because the front bumper was bent because of the collision and dropped a bit to the ground on one side. He was a little humbler after this, but not for very long.